We are back with the last match of the day, and it's going to be Bozzzton versus Viper, with a lot on the line for both of these players. If you are just tuning in for the last match, basically, both players need to make it to Sunday to be able to have a chance to get into that Division A. So the player who loses here is guaranteed Division B. I believe that is correct, Subtle.
That is 100% accurate, yes. You have said entirely true things. One more definitive statement that I can add to that. Things will get a much more definitive come tomorrow. Right now we're dealing with a lot of wishy-washy ifs, buts, and maybes. But this result, regardless of what happens, this match occurring means that Pavel now must win the entire week if he is going to qualify for Division A. The only way a worse result than that was good enough for him is if Viper, Bozzzton, and Psycho all missed out on top 8, and obviously one of Viper and Bozzzton will now make it through to top 4, I should have said, which means Pavel now must win the entire week if he is going to make it into Division A.
Yep, and I can see him doing that, driving his, fancy car straight through a volcano and straight through the bracket, as he just would swoop in there last minute, get the first place, and just the sunglasses come down from the sky. He strolls off into the sunset. That is pretty much Pavel summed up. But we have to get this done with first. Viper versus Bozzzton. Viper on this Highlander Paladin, and unlike my slight mess up a little bit earlier, this does have some Murlocs in it, but it isn't anywhere near as Murloc focused as Silvernames was that we saw in the last.
No, for sure. This is just, what we would refer to as just Highlander Paladin. Sort of similar to the list that I guess Frozen will credit with bringing to prominence in Grandmasters last year. Towards the end, I believe, of Season 2 in America's GM. He went on a very good run with Highlander Paladin, doing very, very well with it. Much more akin to that list than the Murloc version that we saw from Silvername earlier on.
Yep, we saw it get some good work done in the Masters Tour Bucharest as well, not long after Season 2 finished. Yep. So yeah, that was the one we saw knocking around. But for Bozzzton, it's going to be on this Totem Shaman, and we've seen it really is an extreme of deck, I think, because I've seen it whiff massively and do nothing, and then I've seen it do what Bozzzton did in his last match with it, which was one turn you just make some totems, next turn your opponent's dead because he didn't clear them all. And that's kind of that weird question that you mentioned earlier is, when this Totem Shaman presses hero power, do you respect it? Do you clear it off? Does it cost you too much to clear it off? You even afford to have a chance of winning the game? These are all decisions that your opponent has to make. I feel like Bozzzton is getting a little bit better with this deck as time goes on.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think Bozzzton has led this deck all 3 times that he's played on stream so far. I'm not sure if that's accurate. If that's something that Lorinda feels like looking into, then go ahead and do so. I'm sure you haven't got enough on your plate right now, buddy. But yeah, if so, like maybe he's becoming a little bit predictable. Maybe he just looks at the lineups, because obviously the lineups are resolved down in about the same way every time. Like Boston's banning away the decks that he doesn't want to see, and then he's being faced with about the same lineup in every single match because of that process happening the same way every single match. So if that's the case, maybe he just feels like the numbers say that this is the deck he's supposed to lead with every single time. I know Bozzzton in interviews last year, in Grandmasters, did talk a lot about Q order and so on being a big part of his thinking in a lot of matchups. So I don't know. We will see. But I am not a huge fan of this Totem Shaman in terms of power level. I do think it's a really sweet deck. And like when you just get like 4 Manatides on the board and you're drawing through your entire deck in like 3 turns, like that's undeniably cool. But I just don't think the power level of the deck is really there. So I'm, more on side with the players who have brought, for example, Evolve Shaman into this. So let's see if Bozzzton is going to struggle or whether he's going to get in one of those nice, clean, bloodlust, easy peasy games that he had in the previous season.
Yeah,
series.
I'd love to see if maybe for a short amount of time, when in the past Team 5 has brought back cards from rotation and just for a shorter time to have some fun with them. I'd love Thunderbluff Valiant. I love that card. It was so cool, and I'd love to see just what it does to this deck. Because imagine this deck with a Thunderbluff Valiant, it would be insane.
I mean,
chuck a Totem Golem in there as well.
So now you're talking. See, I was going to say, would Thunderbluff Valiant actually improve the deck that much? Because if you're having totems survive to the point where you could land a Thunderbluff Valiant and buff them up, like you're already winning the game, right? Like the problem is you don't get to do that with this deck because there's no strong early game. So I was literally about to say, I feel like Totem Golem is more like the card that this deck is missing right now.
So you're saying it should be a Highlander Totem Shaman where you Zephyrus with coin to get powered shield?
Yeah, dude. Galen just coined a Totem Golem in a tempo matchup, and everyone lost their mind about it. It was great. It's a freaking Totem Golem. Of course you do that. Come on.
You know what else is great? Hearthstone. As we get into game number 1 of this series, Viper on this Paladin going up against Bozzzton's Totem Shaman. And Viper, that looks things. Oh, maybe not. Looked like a pretty good start to me, Sol, but what do I know? These cards look worse than the ones he just had.
Sorry, what did he throw away? I was looking at Boston's at the time.
Well, let me just check his hand just to make sure. Can I rewind the tape? Well, he had the McGurgle, which strikes me as a decent card. And then he had something else. Oh, it was the Claw.
The Claw.
I thought that was good. Early dudes to kill totems. I can check. Yes, it was Skyclaw, McGurgle, Henchclan Hogsteed, and a True Silver Champion.
Shielded Murglebot, Raven. That's the name.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, sounds pretty promising to me. I mean, for sure, the Henchclan is a keep, right? Like, I would have been stunned if that thing got thrown away. But yeah, certainly, like, Blazing Battle Mage on 1, that kind of thing. We've sort of talked about how oppressive that is for this deck to deal with. So just playing 1-drops early, really, really big deal.
Yeah, that's why I thought, because he was on coin, he threw away the McGurgle. It was surprising, because he had Hogsteed, so he could have coined the 2-1 out, and then had Hogsteed as a follow-up to really cement the board, but let's see how it plays out for Viper anyway. I believe it is now officially nighttime, because Viper's background lighting has changed colour. Does that every time?
Lorinda confirming that my memory is, in fact, that of an old man, and Bozzzton queued Hunter first against Viper the first time around, so he has switched it up for this rematch.
Move quickly.
Playing the old man games. Already, though, Bozzzton get this evil totem to a frustrating health total already. Now he can make it even worse with the mana... Oh, not worse. Worse for Viper, sorry. With the Manatide totem and Totemic Might, if he wanted to. I'm not going to go for it. He wants to just remove this Hogsteed off the board.
Yeah. I like it. Consolidates board position very nicely here. Make sure he can deal with the problem with the Kobold Lackey. Manatide will come in time. He's doing just fine with this evil totem leading the charge right now.
And puts himself in a reasonable position to deal with these Murlocs that we're kicking out this turn, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Zephyrus plus 2 mana maximum this turn. Look ideal.
You'll never give him Alchemist, right?
Crazed? It might. It might. I
don't think I've ever seen it.
It recognizes that you can do it against Doomsayer.
Let me think.
Yeah, I guess it's the board state is the issue, right? Because there's minions that can actually attack, and I think Zephyrus will go, whoa, those got numbers on their attack value. They're way more dangerous.
I must move quickly.
So from what we know, what we've been told about Zephyrus, because it doesn't actually read card text, read, the lightning bolt descriptors of what a special effect is. It just kind of values it on how understated a minion is for the effect that it's doing. So like a 2-2 with a 7-7 death rattle inside it, it guesses that death rattle is huge because it's a 2-2, so of course it's huge, right? So a 0-2 totem with a special effect, it might recognize that it's a pretty powerful effect that it's adding. I don't know.
I wonder.
These are the tricky turns for Totem Shaman, I feel, because you don't have a lot to work with. I feel like if you misstep, you probably just lose. Because the deck is that volatile.
Yes, it's fragile, right? It's just always on a razor's edge of like, oh, if I lose board this turn, it's over. I just cannot lose board.
For an instance, is this ever Lava Burst with a Titanic Lackey?
I think it's just Flame Tongue, right? Looks a lot stronger. History buff gets cleaned up super nicely.
Oh, can jump the Lackey on the left side, yeah, that makes nice, actually.
Yep. Probably put the taunt on his spell damage totem.
Let's see it.
He's just going to buff up the evil. Okay. Little weak to True Silver this way.
Easy Shadow Word Pain, I imagine, from Zephyrus if Viper so chooses. Although, again, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because what's the bigger threat? If he was going for Zephyrus Shadow Word Pain this turn, not saying he is, but if he was, which one do you actually pain? Because the Evil Totem's scary, of course. But Flame Totem then lives, which is also scary because there are minions still on the board.
I think I'd take the Evil Totem in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Probably the one you generally lean to. It's just, it still doesn't feel great, does it?
Because you can still either just put damage on the Flame Tongue for free with your 1-1, or isolate its left-hand side by taking the 1-1 into the 3-1 afterwards.
Yeah, I guess the taunt might be the factor that really pushes it over the edge, right?
Yeah.
I wonder.
Still tough. Could just coin out the dragon if he really wants to. Just get a big minion on board and then hope it sticks long enough that it's just not as much of an issue. Viper's going to play it slow. This surprises me because when I've left evil totems up or any kind of buff totems, it always just got worse.
Yeah. This does give him a lot more flexibility. I think, like, anti-aggro Zephyrus, like, right now, 4 is very often the nuts. Like, 4 floating mana after the Zephyrus because of the Holy Nova discount. It just ends up being so strong as an anti-aggro tool, like, so often. So I think getting greedy with Zephyrus does work here, but the problem is that the health total on the board is kind of spiraling out of control right now, and he's one split away from disaster right now, right?
Yeah, and here there's actually even just pushing with the 3. He could evolve the Lackey and then Storm's Wrath, which at this point I don't see why not to just go all in. Oh, okay, he's not going to play. Oh, he's not going to play the Lackey. Interesting.
There is little time.
Does the Evolve Lackey even get played anymore? I don't think so, right? Everything's just everything's just too overstatted at this point.
Yep. If you were going to do it, yeah, I think he had to do it to the Titanic after an attack because he also would have missed the +1/+1 on it, right?
Yep.
Ooh, even more value with that Sludge Slurper, and the combination of Evil Totem and Mana Tide now is creating a bit of a value train that Viper's not going to be too happy about.
So now I hate to say the words, because Zephyrus generally does not value this card very highly, and I put a huge amount of testing into trying to force it to give it against Combo Priest as it was back in the day. But Master Spell is starting to look somewhat appealing against this board state.
Might value it because it would put the minions down to 0, or a lot of the minions down to 0. There's a big difference between buffed and 0. But whoa. Okay, so not dead to Bloodlust. So Viper was, air quotes, safe from that. Still the bad spot because he would have took a lot of damage.
Yeah.
He would have took a ton of damage, but still he isn't dead. But Viper, say something for him. He's got some patience.
So with this setup now, he can coin Zephyrus Brawl next turn, and then True Silver the minion that lives most of the time. Caveat 3/5 taunt right now, but apart from that, he's good. So he does set himself up for a 2-turn guaranteed full clear here.
Yep.
Which, if he doesn't take too much damage in the interim, should put him in a pretty commanding position.
Ooh. Just evolution?
Explosive, yeah, seems right. To make the Lackey. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ooh!
It's a lot of spell damage.
Launch it! No, you can't.
Is that 4 mana, 8 damage lava burst?
Yeah, 9, actually. Because there's the existing Wrath of Air totem already in play as well.
Wait, it's +3? I thought it was +2.
It's +3. Here in Tour, Trickster is Tricaster, sorry, is spell damage +3.
Your wish is my
Makes
suggestion.
sense. Try. Chaos Nova?
Chaos Nova guarantees the full clear, but you take 1 damage in the process. Whereas sometimes you take 0, but sometimes it's not a full clear if you brawl.
Wait, when do you ever take 0?
Hmm? Oh no, everything has a natural +1/+1
it's
buff
both,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think you just Nova and take the damage, right? Guarantee it.
Yeah, so if you play Nova, then you dodge the chance that the evil totem ever lives.
I wonder.
You can't kill it with the True Silver.
Quickly.
Okay. What? Got faith in the old Zephyrus winning those power brawls, eh? Oh, I thought it was gonna.
So I guess
Okay,
the modifier the one thing we forgot to factor into that is that with Brawl you have a chance that your Zephyrus wins the Brawl, whereas everything else is fairly negligible, apart from the evil totem surviving, but I still think that's like the biggest factor in that decision, is the evil totem can sometimes live with 5 health.
That would terrify me if the evil totem lived now. After all that delay, after all that setup.
Yeah.
Look at the damage that Bozzzton has. Copy that spell damage totem and get him. Is Viper going to swing at spell damage?
Oh, you
totem?
want to just splitting image?
Yeah.
Splitting
Look
axe
at the
him in
damage!
face.
Serpent Shrine Portal, Lightning Bolt, Lava Burst. That's insane. And the Kobold Lackey. I've not even counted, but that just must be lethal, right?
So with 1 spell damage, which is realistic because, you know, True Silver Champion, that would have given him 14, 16 with the Kobold
Little
Lackey.
time.
So would you be sure that Viper would swing into the spell damage if it's just a 0-2?
No. But I'd consider it pretty likely.
Either way, Viper has healing capabilities available to him regardless. So he would have been safe if he wanted to be, and to be fair, there weren't many great follow-ups for him this turn anyway, so I think this dragon is very likely to hit the board this turn.
Yes, that's
Let
8 more
me
back up
think.
to 23. And if you just True Silver's down the
Let
3-2,
me
it's
think.
going to go up to 25 down to 22. Doesn't quite get there anymore with Bozzzton's hand having already committed the portal.
Is he ever more scared of the totem because he's not seen any of the duplicates yet?
I must move quickly. Looks like
Not seen
I'm
it. Oh, I see what you're
just
saying.
in time.
Yeah, maybe. Sometimes. Sure.
Reporting for duty.
Takes potential damage off the board and denies the splits. So yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Just and because it's spell damage specifically as well,
Yeah.
you know, it's just that extra little bit of this could kill me.
Yeah.
Looks kind of rough, but the 3-2 is a decent evolve target as well for this Witchy Lackey, finally. We can see though now Tyrion and Pharaoh's Blessing.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a target for it, that is a lot of taunt to get through for Bozzzton. And he does have some spells, but I don't think he has that many to do that much damage, right?
No. It's also a lot of counter pressure with like Dragon Queen Alexstrasza coming back the other way if Viper can find time to do that.
Might. I've just seen Viper turn the corner here and
There is little time.
been rewarded for his pretty immense patience, actually, for most of this game.
He milked the hell out of that Zephyrus. He just waited and waited and waited.
I would have used it ages ago, me, 100%. He was facing down a pretty scary board at one point as well, and still let it hit him.
So now Bozzzton, I think, correctly recognizing that his burst damage plan does not really get there. He has to start rebuilding board and landing consistent minion damage instead. I think he's recognizing the spot accurately, but I think some of the threats that Viper has to drop now. might run out of steam sooner rather than later, but that
Okay.
card opens up a ray of hope once again.
So, Bloodlust Kobold Lackey this turn?
You're
Plus
Bloodlust
attack?
now. Sure.
I think I don't know if the board's ever going to be bigger. And he's got
So
the
you
mana for it.
trade one totem in your face, and then you're pushing 6, 9, 13. Opponent down to 11. Lava Burst in hand.
Have you done Surge as well?
Oh, sure. So in that case, then the Lackey has to go in and waste 1 damage instead, but you push 3 more.
I
Down to
wonder.
8 Lava Burst in hand.
I think it's as reasonable as it's ever going to get.
There is little time.
Very clean kill with the 6-2.
Yep.
Oh, I miss.
So that extra, I was trading with the 4-1, which was slightly inefficient, just to have the bigger minion still in play, so that pushes 1 extra, puts him down to 7 instead, which, yep, seems to make sense when you're just looking for straight-up lethal.
Suddenly, Alex Straza doesn't cut it, but he does have Pharaoh Blessing and a target for that. So pretty big deal that Viper can put up a taunt, but that Bloodlust changed the game again.
It did, yeah.
Because suddenly Viper can't just be like, oh, well, I've got Tyrion, you've got no board. It's like, well, Tyrion's gone. Weapon's great, but Bozzzton is on 26.
Yep.
And even 1 taunt doesn't always cut it here, because there's enough minions on board. Pharaoh's Blessing plus the carpet, although frustratingly means that the Battle Mage can't come down, is an insane amount of health, though.
It is. You make a 5/10 Divine Shield taunt. The 6/6 from the
quickly.
Battle Mage is enough for Viper to live, I think, as long as he swings into one of the minions with his... No, it'll be exactly lethal, I think. So yeah, he needs the big one.
And there's the chance at a spell damage roll as well, isn't there?
Yep.
Well, I believe Bozzzton does still have some damage from hand. Okay.
Finally, like, Bozzzton has just got an embarrassment of riches right now. Like, he's threatening lethal, and he's also just starting to dominate the board all over again now.
I think with this play, this game is actually so close because this might. If I. Oh wait.
He can just summon a copy
Yep,
of his.
never mind.
Yeah.
Yep. I did
I
not
took
realise.
almost exactly as long to spot that as Bozzzton did, I think.
At first, I was just so locked into the card being played on the board that was presently there, and not the roll of spell damage plus 1 extra.
Yeah.
Crazy game. And I was just about to say, if Bozzzton can't get through that taunt that well, maybe now again Alex does make it, right? Because then it just takes the turn to set up, and then the lethal swing if the taunt lives long enough. A pretty insane game, actually. I'm glad we saw that one because that was nutty. I didn't know who was going to take that one throughout many, many turns of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, so that was the problem I was having, is I was looking at like the most efficient way to deal with the carpet. Like, do you ever give up your lava burst for the carpet just to keep your board state? The split on one of the healing totems that could attack meant that you had some decent trades going over the carpet anyway, so you could retain your lava burst. And then I think, through that method, whatever way you cut it, you were just always one off that turn. And then I sort of looked over and went, oh, he rolled spell damage totem this turn. Like, this is fine. You just split it.
And also,
shoot
it was a
face.
50% chance too, as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of funny that both of us were just like, oh yeah, he could just take a 50-50 for it. That's pretty straightforward, and we're stupid and slow. But anyway, that is just a game one there. Bozzzton taking the game with his Shaman, but I believe the players are going to just have a quick short break while we get ready for the next game. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Grandmasters.
Please.
And that was a very quick break indeed, as I'm just hearing things, it seems, that we shouldn't have gone to a break. I'm very sorry, I'm rubbish, but let's get straight into the game. Who cares? We're moving on.
I did look kind of confused at that point. I was like, I'm pretty sure we just had a break. I don't know what this one's for, but yeah.
Yeah,
No, don't
honestly,
worry.
while we were talking, I'm sure I heard break. So I was like, okay, I'll just do what I'm told. Anyway, let's get into this game. Hunter on the bottom for Bozzzton. Viper on the top. Paladin. Shotbot coming out early, but Bozzzton has the ever incredible Desert Spear to deal with it. If he wants to, he could hold on to coin, as he does have the CM and some later game options. And he has the Felmar to play right now.
Yes, he does. Holding on to coin here definitely seems very reasonable indeed. Holding on to coin also means that he can sometimes line up this Desert Spear into a Varanus turn as well later in the game, which is pretty huge.
Even just coining out this Mana Saber looks pretty good right now.
Ooh. Does coining out Mana Saber get you to that brand faster or slower? That's all I care about right now. Looks like a pretty solid Desert Spear turn to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out the impact of the Imprisoned minion, or the Dormant minion, should I say.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that attack just alters the answer to that question, right? Which is very frustrating, because you obviously don't aim it.
This King's is going to hurt no matter what he does this turn, right? Like, this King's is just going to be a beating.
Mana Saber... Okay, let's live in the world where everyone sees all cards. Mana Saber lets him Varanus next turn.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the Desert Spear
Anything
equipped.
to lock in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh,
So it doesn't really help him.
Spicy, actually, yeah. And I guess this way... Yeah, that was just a weird one, actually. That was tough. Yeah, Desert Spear definitely the most safe. Although it wouldn't have got him to Varanus next turn, right? Because it would have been one off anyway, because he uses the coin. Ha! Tough. Either way, Bless King's going to be a tough one there, taking some damage. This is big. Not where he wanted it.
You sure that's not where he wanted it?
I think the guaranteed kill on the 6/6 would have been better, right?
Well, no, because I mean, I guess you could swing the weapon and then trade the 1/1 in instead. This way, the 6/6 is kind of isolated. He takes 6 more from it anyway. But now the swing turn he gets next turn, potentially with the Varanus and the last swing of his Desert Sphere, is huge because he just still has a whole additional 5/2 on the board, right? That he wouldn't have otherwise.
That's true. That's true.
I think I'd be willing to invest that little bit of health. Oh, I mean, that large chunk of health, I guess. Let's not.
I was going to say,
let's
your
not
opinion of
undersell
little
it.
bit subtle is it's very interesting right now.
But I think I'd invest that into the swing turn.
Okay.
I don't know.
I was just thinking about the punish. Like, if this 5/2 gets killed not by the 6/6,
Yeah.
then
I'm not sure how many cards there are in Viper's deck that do that, though, right?
Yeah. I guess it would end up even-ish anyway. Yeah, okay, maybe it wasn't as bad as I felt. I felt like it just. I think it just hurts to just see the 6/6 just there. It's about to put him to 10, and there's a true silver champion we can see in hand. Obviously, Boston.
Yeah. So it's a very real world where, like, Viper just swings this for the fences, right? And then the Varanus blowout is enormous next turn.
I must move quickly.
Yeah, maybe this draw from Viper just has to be insane to win the game, though, because you've got to think, if he plays it, I'll say, safe, then the Varanus isn't good, but it means he can save the coin for Bran or Tiamat.
Yeah.
And if he does this, the Varanus is really good. Or the Rotnest Drake. So he can save the coin for Dino Time.
I mean, he still
It
saves
is scary,
the coin.
though.
He can just attack with the Mana Saber to get Varanus and still hold the
True,
coin.
true, true. What if he attacks and plays the coin and plays Tiamat instead?
I wonder.
If he attacks and plays the coin and plays Dino Tamer Bran this turn and goes 5-1 and 5-2 and 1-1 into the 6-6 instead.
And he's
Face
dead
for 8.
Consecrate.
I mean, he's dead to Consecrate regardless of what he does.
Not if you see him at some taunts.
Oh, sure.
Taunt Divine Shield, see him at, trade the 5-2 and the 1-1 in. I meant, sorry, I wasn't as clear.
If you're taunting Siamat, I think you're Hunter Racing it. I think you're Taunt Wind Furying it because you have you have to race. You have to race. Which is why I'm curious, like, which race is better, the Varanus right now or the Dino Tamer Bran right now?
Wait, why is it you have to race?
Because you're like a Zephyrus out away from just straight up losing the game. Like,
oh, sure. Okay, I thought you meant like based on what we could see. I was like, oh, so yeah. Sorry, yeah. Zephyrus will just kill you. Wow, what a weird game. Paladin going hyper aggro, Hunter having to hold on. But Dino Tamer Bran is a good card.
Whoa. It's 10, 18 this turn with the Dino Tamer.
Does he ever Varanus? I think you do, right? You don't want to leave any minions up. He has to kill at least one.
Yes.
Or he's dead to Consecrate again, and if he's playing around Consecrate once, then why not again? So I do like the one kill. He's just going to go for the brand, put Max Emilio damage on the board.
Yeah.
Don't need to trade with that King Crush.
I like this. Can he trade and still have lethal represented? He has, what, 10, 13, 19, 20 showing? So yeah, he can. He can just go face with the 6-6 and trade with the Crush, or the other way around, and still have lethal rep.
Okay. Hungry Crab's like, whoa, can't do anything about that, mate. I don't see any Murlocs. You have to deal with these dinosaurs on your own.
Doing it this way also gave him lethal through Siamat Divine Shield Rush, which is kind of cool.
Let me think.
By dealing the more damage to the face by going face with Crush instead of face with Siamat.
Yeah.
But I guess still having the Divine Shield on his Siamat would have that same effect as well, so it doesn't actually affect that too much.
Yeah, and actually, I wind back my suggestions earlier. Keeping the Varanus was key to activate Rot Nest, because you know that the most likely things that are going to be in the way is like a Pharaoh Blessing minion, or something big. It's probably going to be one of the problems you might have to get through as well. So having Rot Nest just active is actually pretty sick, thinking about it. Didn't come into play now because of the way Viper chose to use the Tiamat, but still just a nice little extra could have got from there. And Viper head down, a bit of a shake as Bozzzton takes that game. So far.
Yeah, that is a very good point, because that's the one turn I was still quite unclear on. Like the Siamat versus King Crush versus Varanus turn, where all of those things were available by different combinations of Mana Saber and Coin. But that's a great point. That's something that I wasn't looking at, like the Dragon Activator, which suddenly makes everything make a lot of sense. So yeah, I think Bozzzton might have just found the best line there. Whether or not like Wind Fury Siamat was better, or whether trading with the Divine Shield was better than going face with the Crush. There's a lot of little break points there in that game. I think Bozzzton navigated his way through it very, very well, in all things considered.
And I think we've seen that from him all day, whether he has won or lost, regardless of that. I feel like Bozzzton is very good at just saying, this is how I win the game, and then executing it. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does, but we've seen that even earlier on when he had the Hunter sort of position of, okay, this is a long shot, but this is literally what I have to do if I ever want to win. In the Shaman game, then, we saw some nice setup with just utilizing the right totems and holding something back, using the Bloodlust and the buff. Just seen it again from Hunter when he was pushed down to 6 health, but again, did some good plays there. So nice play, I think, overall from Bozzzton today. He might not be in the best position. He didn't just 2-0 out of groups, but very solid recognition of win conditions. Yeah,
and genuinely, I do think that like value trade from the imprisoned minion onto the shot bot instead of into the 6-6 was actually really important in being able to set up that race, right? Like,
yeah, you're right.
he just always had so many options. You know, we talked about 4 different options that turn in terms of the swing turn, but the point was there was a huge swing turn that turn because of the imprisoned minion taking a VT.
Yeah, pretty good overall. Moving on to game number 3. Bozzzton only 1 away from a win. Choosing to look in his druid. Viper on this paladin once again.
I mean, he's just got to keep going back to the well, right? You think Lou Vega gave up after Mumbo number 1, Raven? No, he kept trying.
After 5, it was done. So you have to try 5 times? Is that the moral of this weird story?
Sure, yeah. We'll go with that.
Viper staring at his opening hand. Looks like he kept Blessing of Kings. So deciding that, and probably quite rightly so, he will not win if he loses the board and if he doesn't try and push quickly. So I guess this is just, I'm going to stick as much as possible trying to Blessing of Kings it and hope Bozzzton doesn't have removal on curve.
Yeah, for sure. I think Blessing of Kings is an absolute beating against Druid. They can't just sit around in the early game throwing all their cheap removal spells at your minions because then their deck doesn't work. No, like they don't have anything left to activate late game stuff later on. So even if all that removal was there, which it isn't, they're generally not using it all anyway. So you almost, I mean, it's just like a different version of the Scale Lord conversation that we were having in the previous series, right? Like there are going to be minions there for you to land your buffs on. So just keep the powerful buffs. Makes sense.
Yeah, and this is, again, a positive coincidence of the way Paladin is built sometimes and the way Druid's built right at the moment is, yes, Bozzzton has some removal, but all of it feels a bit ineffective when you're dropping just tons of 1 health minions on the board, right? Because they don't run swipe. So when they're spending 2 mana to Wrath for 1, or using an early Bog Beam, or even the Moonfire, honestly, so throwing away an activator for some of the late game stuff, just on little minions that you've got tons of in the deck, like even this Claw, right? It's just frustrating for Bozzzton to deal with right now.
So 7-8 hit you, or does he want to spread wider in order to have better trades against like a Glowfly Swarm or something that might come out next turn?
I think I like 1/1/2, mainly because the Historian on board. You get Reborn minion, 2 aggressive minions. You've just seen a lot of removal, so the 1 health on these Sand Wasps doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I think go wide,
Agreed.
it buffs the board anyway. You're probably going to have a Blessing of Kings target next turn if you really want it.
Agree with all of those words, Raven.
Raven's awesome. Yeah. You agree with all the words?
Yep. Sign me up.
Oh, big dragon. For a second then I was like, wait, why is Bog Beam active? I was like, oh, the Druid's on 7 mana.
Yeah, we're on international
Why does it
Druid
still
time
surprise
here,
me? Yeah, I don't know why it keeps surprising me, but it does.
Don't know.
So
No real
Glowfly
choice.
off, next turn Gift of the Wild. Jeez.
Yeah, he doesn't get to keep a great deal of it, though. Sorry, it gets me every time.
Whoa!
Oh!
Okay. He does lose his little Sand Wasps, but worth is the word I'm going to use here.
Whoa.
Worth. Bozzzton, I was just about to say, unless Bozzzton, after this Gift of the Wild turn, if it even happens, draws Overflow, that's everything he has to work with for this game, realistically. And it's all gone.
Yeah, this game is now officially a skip for Bozzzton.
You don't even watch this one in the VOD.
Get him out. Next game, please. I've been like setting up Waste Warden all day, saying that like people are under-teching in this. It took that long for it to do anything. But boy, was the anything it did good.
Yeah, and I like this Amber Watch. Oh, okay. A little bit different, double 3-drop. I was just thinking you go this into Blessing of Kings 3-drop next turn. Looked a little bit nicer, but I guess he might not even need it.
Yeah, this is like a
Gonna go
really
wide.
solid lethal setup because the Skyclaw already got some buffs on it. So
Yeah,
like, this
I
is
did kind of forget it was a 3/4.
an enormous amount of damage.
Oh. Last-ditch effort here from Bozzdton.
Yeah, get him
I
out,
can
dude.
see.
Next game. That was
Wow.
a beating.
And this is the difference. I mean, it's again, it's easy for us to say after that exact game of Hearthstone, but we are seeing a series, and not only a series, just the tournament in general of two sides. Right, there are players who I feel who have teched with what they expect to see, and players who just have not. And yes, the tech cards don't come out every game. They don't win you every game, but sometimes they win you one game, and sometimes one game is enough. And we'll see if it's enough, as it's basically led for Viper being on the front foot here, not winning in the series so far, but getting that win that easily means that he can move on and have a chance to stay in this tournament. Whereas Bozzdton, honestly, a lot of the times with that hand, he glow flies, lands Gift of the Wild, and just wins, because that's how fast he accelerated. The Waste Warden just put a stop to that as hard as can be.
Yeah, I mean, you started to see the emotions coming through on both players there. Like, Bozzdton had a huge reaction to the Waste Warden coming out, and Viper's been reacting to most draws and plays as this series has come to an end, and that's because this is huge stakes for both of these players at this point. And Bozzdton was that close to just getting over the line and finding himself still in with a shot on Sunday of making it through to Division A. And of course, the loser of this is guaranteed to be in the lower division for round-robin play over the next 4 weeks or so. So, massively important couple of games. Bozzdton is still just as close as he was, but it's going to feel slightly further away now after picking up that first loss.
Nature must
Yeah,
be
and honestly,
preserved.
you can see, as you mentioned, the emotions running for these players just to decide which division they're in. Imagine the Division B matches in the next 4 weeks. It's going to be tense. I don't know if my little heart will be able to take it, Sottle.
You haven't
By the sounds
experienced.
of it, you don't care.
I was about to say you haven't experienced true pain until you've had to watch like Fino roping himself out of like relegation and Orange being brutally relegated on the last day as well. Like, whoa, we've had some savage ones in Europe already, Raven.
That is true. I will say, I think, I don't know if this sounds harsh or not, but I got the lighter end of the stick in Asia Pacific because a lot of the relegations were decided quite a while in advance.
They were, yeah, and of course our heart still goes out to all the players that got relegated.
Of course,
but they
yes.
were a lot less dramatic than the ones we'll say
Yes,
in
that's
C,
what I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Let's get into this one. Bozzdton still only needs one. He still only needs a win with this Druid, and he's still been performing pretty decently, I'd say, overall. Viper took the first step into the comeback here. And now it's a mirror match, so this could be decided just as quickly as the last game, Sol.
Yeah,
turn
and
5.
it's a mirror match, but as with every mirror match that I believe Viper has been playing in this group so far, it's Starfalls versus no Starfalls, and Viper has to be the one on the no Starfalls side. So I don't think he's had too good of a time in Druid mirrors up until this point, and his fungal fortunes there seem to have not changed, as I believe the discard again has come back to punish him.
Yeah, see Viper shake his head when he saw the coin overgrowth. Means that Bozzdton does have access to a Glowfly before Viper. We can see Viper's not got it in his hand. Oh, sorry, he has got it in his hand. But it's just the fact that you know your opponent can play it first is rough.
Yep, can play it first, can then potentially value trade over yours with the power of the wild that we do see the Bozzdton has access to. Again, Viper does not play the Starfall here, whereas Bozzdton does play a single copy, not the two that Viper had to contend with against Swids earlier. But now, bing bang boom, trades ahoy if needed.
Yeah, even the fact that there's not even full trades required. There's Wrath, there's a Bog Beam, there's Iron Bark, which helps just in terms of health. And you can still power the wild. I think I like a lot of this, actually. And then just have Overflow next turn.
Mm-hmm. Viper's deck, I should say, is still not active next turn, if you want to look at it that way, hitting the 7 mana mark to be able to do really powerful things.
Right.
The most powerful of those things with Kael'thas going down the drain as well, just not even being available anymore. 21 damage available for Bozzzton here if he wants it. More with Ironbarks. Just the juiciest value trades of all time if he wants to go down that route.
I think he should go all in terms of removal. I think he should just kill every single thing. All of his things live. As you mentioned, no Starfall, definitely no Swipe. He has 2 Ironbarks, the Wrath's there. Like, just chuck it all in, and then make Viper have to do something incredible. And then next turn, just overflow if you need to, right? And just draw a ton of cards again. We did everything but kept the Wrath. Still fine. Oh, missed 1 damage.
Missed 1 damage. Yeah, I think so. Viper going to do the best he can here. Just picking apart the board.
Nice benefit of these. They do not care for points.
They do not. Now Bozzzton can just rip this overflow.
Missed the one on purpose because he knew it didn't matter.
Sure. I mean, I don't think he was too panicked about, you know, that part of his APM as the rope was hitting at the end.
Oh, there's KT. There's a whole lot of cheap cards and another overflow.
Yes, indeed. And there is also just a Savage Roar, which can potentially just be game-ending sooner rather than later. Bozzzton's same decision as he had last turn, though. Push the damage, respect the 1/1s for the sake of, you know, Savage Roar and Soul of the Forest and all that kind of stuff that maybe Viper can use to swing the board state back the other way. He does just have a freaking 5/9 taunt in the way of everything.
It's 14 this turn. Viper pulls off an overflow, which realistically isn't going to happen because his KT is gone. So it's not going to do overflow plus X.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the few times in this matchup where I think Bozzzton could just throw it all face and feel very confident. But that's not to say that trading's bad. He can trade and feel extremely confident, I guess, is the difference.
So he's showing, what, 14 right now? Savage Roar is another 10. 24, Hero Power is 1. 25, Moonfire is 1. 26. So he sets up lethal this way anyway. He just doesn't set up lethal through overflow.
I wonder.
But with his own KT plus overflow, he can probably guarantee an even stronger board going forward anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, but Viper's holding on, but Bozzzton is only getting stronger with every single turn that passes, right? So it's not as if this is going to heavily punish or impact Bozzzton for not going full face or trading. This looks pretty fine to me.
And you can listen to our words as much or as little as you choose to. The story here is all on Viper's face right now. He knows full well where this one is going.
And it's straight to the 5/9.
Yep. So now recount 15 plus 10 from Savage Roar is 25, 1 from Hero Power 26, 1 from Moonfire 27.
So does he just wrath his 6/12?
What to do?
Potentially. I guess he could still overflow.
It's KT time, baby. Let's go.
All I heard then was all, it's tea time. I'm like, oh, I'm a bit.
Fungal Fortune's number 2. Next spell
Does he-
is free.
Does he Savage Roar this with this?
I was going to say, if he's exclusively lethal fishing this turn, then this free spell is Savage Roar, yes.
Time waits for no one.
But he might not be in that mindset, which I think is a very reasonable mindset to not be in. If that makes any sense. Like, he is super winning right now. He doesn't necessarily just have to throw away everything on a straight-up
He is
lethal
winning
out.
very hard.
Yes. If there's a criticism I have here, it's that I just don't think he's committed to a decision early enough. It's a criticism that I'm going to keep banging into the ground on these KT turns. Because I think there was potential to still do a lot more there. It's just the rope came back to be his enemy.
I do think it's a weird thing I've noticed about Spell Druid. Is it's like the KT deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like anyone really likes it. So they don't grind tons of games. No, you know what I mean? They don't grind tons of games with it. So they don't have those like natural boom, 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 KT turns where they're almost playing faster than you can see, like the old gadgets and like Super Rogue turns.
Viper's out.
Oof, he's gone. Bozzzton with a fist pump as he takes the win, survives in the tournament, and we will see him on Sunday. But that does at least give us a little bit of a clearer look at the leaderboard and how everything's going to shake out in terms of the divisions. It does mean, I believe, that Viper is going to be in Division B, and that means Bozzzton has made it to Division A? Correct me if I'm wrong, so I do like to double-check all of this.
You are wrong. You were 50% correct there. It does guarantee Viper into the lower division. Now, Bozzzton has sometimes already done enough, but to lock it in with no caveats, he needs top 2.
Right, okay. And there's also the ever-present Pavel scenario, which I believe could change things as well. But as is always the case with tiebreakers and everything like this, it will become much, much clearer as we move through the weekend, very similar to how it was last year for every region. With every day we move closer to getting a much clearer answer as to who's going to go where. But overall, congratulations to Swids and Bozzzton. Swids just having a good couple of weeks. I hope for his sake he continues on throughout the round robin, as he's looking fantastic going into the first week of that. But Bozzzton just holding on. Commiserations to Viper. He's going to be knocked out, but he's going to be still around. It's not as if, I do want to remind everyone, we talk Division B like it's the worst thing in the world.
I know, yeah.
It's not like we'll never see them again. They're not just getting like, right, you've got to quit Hearthstone now. They're still going to play. They're still in Grandmasters. It's just they have a bit of a harder run of it.
They still have a 50-50 shot to make it into the bracket that goes to the freaking playoffs at BlizzCon or wherever else it's going to be. Like, it's insane. Like, you know, they're still a Grandmaster. They're still in a great position. It's just now that they have to play with, you know, the threat of automatic relegation looming over their shoulder if they are in Division B. But yeah, you can see some of what we've got in store for tomorrow. And Raven, you alluded to it, but I think one of the big talking points tomorrow is going to have to be Pavel, because now, based on results today, Pavel must win. It's that simple. He must qualify out of groups tomorrow, then he must win the bracket on Sunday if he's going to make it into the top division.
I cannot wait for that to happen, because I feel like it is the most Pavel thing that will ever happen. If someone can do it, it is him. And I look forward to seeing him, since, unfortunately, we have not had the chance to cast him so far in the Swiss, because he has not won the most games of Hearthstone in the past 2 weeks, has he, Sottle?
He didn't know. I think Lorinda can correct me on this. I think it was 1 or 2 games that he won last week, and I'm using the word games correctly. Not matches, not rounds, individual games of Hearthstone within those rounds. He was in the low single digits of wins overall. Like, he got absolutely smashed last week. So this week he's clearly put in a much, much better performance. And for all those Pavel fans out there, and let me be very clear with me saying all this, I am a Pavel fan.
Oh yeah.
There are very few people better for the game of Hearthstone than Pavel. I think he's phenomenally entertaining. I think he is incredibly good at the game when he's focused and locked in. But he's clearly not all the way there right now in my perspective. But this always happens, right?
It does.
Pavel
That's what I'm saying. It
always wins. Every single time Pavel wins this week. Like, it's just a guarantee.
It really, really is. It looks like we are done for the day. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. We had some crazy day today with this 10-deck format, seeing a lot of classes and deck styles we are not used to, but it's still an interesting learning and a lot of fun for us. So we hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to not only subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep watching, but also, smash that bell, as you like to say, Saul. Is that your phrase, not mine?
You are never going to be a YouTuber, Raven, are you?
No, believe it or not, I'm not.
Like and
I'm
subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, and make sure you ding that bell so you get all the notifications of when Hearthstone Esports action is going live.
That's why Sottle's really here, just to get that last bit done. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. There's America's coming right up with TJ and Frodan, so make sure to stay tuned if you want even more Hearthstone action and see what the Americas players make of this 10-deck format. But from Sottle and myself, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.